Hello and welcome. I am Scrapperlock, and this is City of Heroes. We're on the private servers from Homecoming, the Everlasting server, which is the unofficial roleplay server, with our martial arts super reflex Scrapper, Silver Phoenix, who has over 4 million influence and nearly, I'm sorry, 4 million experience and nearly 20 million influence. Um, and we are in the middle of a mission, or we're starting on a mission. This is a Richty mission. So we're rescuing 3 doctors from the Richty. This is a mission for our contact, Steve Sheridan. I always like doing missions for Steve Sheridan because I actually knew a person named Steven Sheridan when I was in grammar school and junior high. He was in my class, and we used to play games together, and he lived about a block away from me, around the block, across the street and around the block. And so I always go to that NPC and try to get missions from him because he just makes me think of my old high school friend who I haven't seen in probably 35 years. Alright, so we're on this mission. We're fighting Richty. I always enjoy fighting Richty. We've got our practice brawler permanent, so that should save us from any issues with mezzing that Richty do. Many of the Richty blasts do have a mez component, but it's a weak mez, and generally they aren't able to mez through practice brawler. I'm making sure to hit the guardian and take him out first, because otherwise the guardian will shield somebody. I think he shields at random, but it seems like they always end up shielding the drone, which has a higher defense than most other villains at this level, and the drone consequently then becomes almost impossible to hit. Oh, and I'm chatting with my this person, True Name, who's one of the base builders. In a previous episode, I mentioned that there was a bit of a conflict in the supergroup over the fact that the base had to be deleted and reconstituted thanks to guilds, and thanks to bugs. And so there's a little bit of a fight, and one of the people ended up leaving the guild over it. But anyway, they're still trying to get it together. They said on the Discord today it's about half done. And so True Name is one of the builders and one of the people who's responsible for doing the all the complicated furniture placement and stuff. And apparently he's creating a hedge maze. And so he's just saying he's working on a hedge maze right now. And communications officers, like guardians, are ones that you should go after first, because the comm officer will, and you can see the deflection. Twice we missed out of 4 times. That's because the drone, I only had a 55% chance to hit it, right? Now normally against a yellow minion I would have like an 80 something percent chance at least. And so they do have quite a bit of defense, and that's why you don't want to let the guardian shield him. Put a shield on him, right? It's called bubbling. They put a bubble shield and then you become impossible to hit. The reason you go after the communications officers, as we've seen, is because the communications officers, they create a portal, and it will summon more Richty. Not that it's that big of a deal when you're solo, but if you're in a group and there's several communications officers and you don't watch it, what you're going to find out is that they're going to create several portals, and you'll be fighting way more guys than you expected. Now, Richty monkeys, they shoot psionic blasts, so they're actually, if you get large groups of them, they can actually be quite dangerous to like an invulnerability tanker. Just because the invulnerability tanker has no resistance to anything they do. That was a teleport. The Headman gunman can teleport. These are basically souped up versions of the Lost, essentially, or the Lost or watered down versions of the Richty. I don't know how you want to think about it, but either way is pretty accurate. I'm not going to bother with Focus Chi since we got this guy pretty much beat. And there we go. And we have enough endurance that we can go ahead and suck one down. So we need to find 3 doctors. We haven't found anybody yet. So we need to look around carefully and make sure I hear somebody. And there's 2 drones, like, trying to hurt this doctor. And you see, even with Focus Chi, deflected and deflected, right? That's because they have high defense. Right? they have something like 25 or 30 defense. They're basically almost as much as I have when I don't have an inspiration. Now we don't have to lead this doctor out. This is one of the older missions from the original story arcs. And in the older missions, you didn't have to lead people out. Let's go ahead and take these guys out. This is infantry and drones, so it's easy. Yeah, Rick-D against a super reflex scrapper aren't so bad. We are pretty much proof against their weak mez, and our dodge helps us there too because their mez is rarely hit. And consequently, we're actually, you know, Rick-D are actually pretty easy. They don't have a lot of smashing defense. Guardian, so we'll get him first. They don't have a lot of smashing defense. And so you can take them out in a couple of hits like that. And their secondary attack, their secondary effect, the mez they do, you're proof against it. So that actually, as a super reflex scrapper, it's pretty fun to fight Rick-D and pretty low risk. And I can still remember the time I said to my supergroup, and I probably mentioned this on the channel here, on this channel before. I said to my supergroup members, I was in Craze Folly or some hazard zone fighting Rick-D, and I was purposely just like going around this area that it was on a rooftop of warehouses, and there were all these Rick-D spawns, hazard zone spawns showing up, and I was just going and pounding on them. And I said something like, I just love fighting Rick-D. They're so much fun. And somebody said, oh yeah, right. And I was too late to stop this, wasn't I? No, I was too late to stop the portal. Yep, and so we got some extra conscripts. That's alright. I said, I just love fighting Rick-D, and they said, oh yeah, right. They thought I was being sarcastic, and I said, no, I really do. They're really fun to beat on. And pretty easy to take out. And they said, well, what about all the mez? And I said, what do you mean? And they said, what do you do about all the mez? And I said, Rick-D mez? And they're like, and there was this like cursing on the channel, like, how do you not know that they mez? And I'm like, because I've never been mez by a Rick-D. And I realized, you know, the Lost use Rick-D weapons. The Lost used to mez me when I was low level. But once you have practice brawler, you basically never get mez by the Rick-D. And so I didn't even realize that their blasts had secondary mez effect. So the cursing was hilarious. They're like, I mean, they weren't really mad, but they were like, oh my god, how can you not know that Rick-D mez? Like, I've never been mez by them. Like, seriously? How do you never get mez? I was like, I got practice brawler. I'm a scrapper. Right? Most of these guys were blasters, and mostly blasters and a few controllers and a couple defenders. So we completed the mission, and we get a clue. The doctor's story, and so he says you'll never guess what they wanted. The Rick-D have the chicken pox. I know we think of it as a simple childhood virus, but their reaction to it is far more severe. It's killing them. They kidnapped some of my colleagues as well, but they must have taken them to another facility. I hope you'll help them. So the Rick-D have the chicken pox. Interesting. Alright, so we'll go ahead and head out. Oh, you know, it's too late. There was a whole other section of that base, that cave that I didn't go into, and I wouldn't have minded pounding on those guys. Alright, so we had to talk to St. John Smythe in Atlas Park, so he must be able to tell us a little bit more about this chickenpox situation with the Rick-D. So we're going to head over to the train station, which is right there. And so yeah, my supergroup mates, this is back during live, they actually were like, oh my gosh, how can you not be mez by the Rick-D, because they're like so awful. I'm like, no, I mean, since from level 22 on, once practice brawler is permanent, and you've seen it in this game, how many times have I been mez? Like twice? Okay, so we're gonna go to St. John Smythe, I guess. And so let's see, Grutopia says, I'm hopping on Discord voice chat. I don't do Discord voice chat for obvious reasons, guys. I'm narrating, so I can't really do that. Oh, this is a Beastmaster's Pets. Look at this, wolves, a giant wolf, a lioness, 2 lionesses. That is awesome. I've created a Native American character called Spirit Caller who like summons these spirits as like totems or whatever. I haven't really played her much yet. In fact, I created it didn't like the character. I went through the newer tutorial that I hate, and I don't like that series of story arcs, so I deleted her and recreated her today. She's level 1 and she's in the beginning of the tutorial, but I may record some of the gameplay of that character, but for now we're sticking with Silver Phoenix and our other alts, Liberty Lass and Grenja. So he says, chickenpox, eh? That's a nasty one. Alas, there is no cure, strictly speaking. With the Rikti kidnapping more doctors, perhaps we can use the Rikti's weakness to our advantage. We may be able to exchange some antiviral medicine for the hostages. I'll also throw in some vaccine. It should help the uninfected Rikti remain healthy. Now get out there and get those doctors back. So that's pretty cool. I mean, I like the idea that not just my character, but all of the contacts in Atlas Park immediately take for granted, okay, look, we don't like the Rikti, but this virus is killing them off, and we're going to save them. And I think that's very heroic, and I really like that. So that's really awesome. I really always like when the characters in a superhero universe, even the cops and stuff, are being maybe not super heroic in powers, but heroic in their behavior. I like true blue superheroes, so if you can't tell. And so I'm really happy about the way they're doing this story arc. This is much like the Midnighter Squad one, where we were helping the rogue Rikti survive our Argot Berwat. And we were trying to help the Lost, and we actually went and cured some of the Lost of the Rikti virus or something. And so, what am I doing? Missions select. You don't really have to do this when you only have one mission, but I always like to. I don't know why. And if you're wondering why I keep like going in here and clicking on these tabs, it's because not so much the global, but with these other ones, I'm just trying to sort of. They turn white when there's new chat, and so I'm just looking at what it says and kind of clearing it so that I'm not like wondering what's in that chat window. Okay, so Horus Voice struggles for words. We cannot trust them. The humans will not leave alive. So they think we're going to kill them. They don't trust us, which means I have to save 2 doctors and deliver the medicine, but they're going to make me fight them, the Rikti, because they don't trust us. Let's go ahead and check rewards. I'm very pleased with how Stormkick is doing now that it's fully enhanced. Right, we have our... Oh, gosh, I have to sell these things. We have our fully enhanced Stormkick, so it's now almost double damage from the base of 69. It's 136. So we've fully enhanced the first 3 powers, Crane Kick, Thunder Kick, and Storm Kick. The next one to get it will be Eagle's Claw, but I also want to finish up Evasion. So we're going to have to do that too. We don't appear to need to do any additional buffs to Practice Brawler, so I'm going to leave it for now. We may possibly... Look at that. 2-hit. And I didn't even use Crane Kick, which is my biggest damager. We may... What are we doing here? Is he stuck on the wall? Okay. Just wanted to make sure we got him. So we may... what we're probably going to do is finish this up next level and add a slot to Eagle's Claw. Anyway, we may add an extra Practice Brawler once we're finished with Eagle's Claw and Focus Chi and Dragon Sail if we have enough slots. But I'm not going to worry about that now because we don't have enough slots to go around yet. Alright, so we're going to take out this Guardian here. Whoa. Got stuck against the wall. So he can't shield anything. And then we'll get the drone. I don't know if the drones are more accurate, and the advanced drones are actually harder to hit. You see that? 2 misses. 3 misses in a row. 4 misses in a row. This is why I don't want the Guardian shielding them, because they're already hard to hit. Right, it'll only get worse if the Guardian shields them. I'm not going to worry about the monkeys, because they actually can't hit me any better. Well, right now I'll get them. They can't hit me any better than anything else. Because one of the nice things about um, super reflexes is that it doesn't work versus typed damage. It works versus positional damage, right? So positional damage is whether it's melee, ranged, or AoE. Type damage is whether it's, say, toxic or smashing or lethal. And so, oh, I missed a communications officer. And so, it doesn't matter to me that the Rikti monkeys are psionic because they're basically just count as ranged attack, just like anything else. And so, I have the same defense against them as I have against smashing. It doesn't matter, right? If it's ranged, my ranged defense applies. If it's melee, my melee defense applies. And as you can see, I have nearly equal now ranged and melee defense. Whoops, no, we don't need... No, I want to delete that. There we go. Yep, we keep missing. Look at that. We have a 54% chance to hit. So that's why we keep missing. Alright, so we take out all these guys. Now we're going to move south, and I believe to the south, yes, we have a Rikti headquarters area here. So now I'm going to pound on this guy, and I'll just AoE the monkeys. Yeah, the Rikti monkeys are really not a problem unless you get them in these very large groups. And then to say resistance tanker like an invuln tanker or willpower tanker, especially an invuln tanker, then they're hammering you with something you have no resistance to. To a scrapper, a reflex scrapper, the problem is with many of them, although you're nowhere near as vulnerable as an invuln, with super reflexes, the thing that gets you is if you have a lot of them around you, then eventually they'll just hit by the law of large numbers, right? If there's 25 of them trying to hit you and you have 33% range defense, and so they're only hitting you like 10% of the time, they're still going to get 2 or 3 hits off on you. Now this looks like a little tunnel here. This is cool. I like these bases. Interesting. And here is a glowy. Deliver the medical supply, so maybe we're giving it to them. Clue found. So, Article 12. So medical kit. Though there is no known cure for the chickenpox, this medical kit contains... Okay, so the Rikti were extremely hostile to your presence and refused to accept the medical supplies that you carried into their base. You found an empty crate and left it for them there for the Rikti to find, along with a note. The wounded shall be treated humanely and cared for by the parties of the conflict without any adverse distinction founded on race, nationality, or dimension of origin. I love it. You can only hope that the Rikti will obey the terms of the treaty. Okay. So let's head through here and see what we got over here. I'm just wandering through the base. There's no particular reason to go in any particular place. I have no idea where the 2 doctors are, so we can go in whatever order we want. Let's go ahead and take that. We don't need that. You can see the Rikti are absolutely no problem. Compare these guys at +2 with orange and red lieutenants and stuff. These guys at +2. Compare them to the Circle of Thorns. Okay, there's a boss. Excellent. And we're going to go beat him up. I like pounding on Rikti bosses. So that's infantry. Let's take him out so he doesn't bother me. And we got him with a very nice crit. Go ahead and use Sturdy. Focus Chi. He's running away from me. You're not going anywhere, buddy. Knock back. That's what I like. And now we got critical strike, so we should crit him. Maybe not. No, we didn't crit. That's a shame. There's one crit. And there we go. Love it. I love pounding those guys. They can take such punishment. They're really fun to pound on. So where are the doctors? I would have expected... There's one. I was going to say I would expect them to be in this final room. Oh, great, 2 guardians. That means they buff each other. but I took him out fast enough. So these are Richti computers here. And we saw that with the Argot Berwat plot. So he didn't get his portal off. There's an improved drone. So we'll pound him. Yep, again, drones are hard to hit. Fortunately, we have very high accuracy. Don't believe the 1.16, that's from our set bonuses, but it doesn't count some of the other bonuses, like the ones that are actually slotted into our powers. So most of our powers are like, if you look in here, right, like this one is 1.39 plus that 0.16, so it's really like 1.55. This one is 1.66 and so on, so we have quite good accuracy. And there's the other doctor, it looks like. Some drones and infantry. Let's take out the infantry first. I'm going to do him without focus chi because I'm going to use that on the drones. Oh, we get extra accuracy too. Good. Just compare my health bar in this mission to Circle of Thorns. Badge earned. Patroller. No. Most recent. Do no harm. You've delivered the medical supplies to the Richti. That's awesome. Alright. We can head out. Now, why didn't I stay in there and clean that out? I didn't forget. It's that I wasn't in there to fight them. I was in there to save them. So, in character, I just didn't expect to. I didn't think it made sense to stay in there and pound them. All right. So the Richti are having children in their military outposts. I know they're an alien civilization, but it still doesn't make sense. I've got a theory about the Silver Phoenix. I know that we've been unable to access the Richti world since the war. What if the Richti can't either? They're rebuilding their civilization because the old world is lost to them. I'd bet my life on it. No story arc. That's frustrating. I wonder if we have to get these guys up higher. Yeah, I mean, we might have to get him all the way to here. So let's see. We can go to Krait's Folly and defeat as many Richti as we can, or we can take the recordings of the Richti POWs made of the music piped into their cells. The government's afraid the music may contain subversive propaganda, and they're fighting an uphill battle to keep it out of people's hands. I've got a lead on a warehouse storing the CDs. Oh, and we've got only an hour to do this. Let's get something from Colleen Nelson. Oh, we've got only an hour to do that one either, so we can't get anything from her. So let's just go ahead to Brickstown, and we'll take care of this. Oops. How many extra enhancements do I have? Yeah, I had a friend one time, I guess he was pretty high level when I was on my other super group, and he said he had filled all 7 trays of enhancements. And I was like, wow, that's pretty amazing. At the time I had like half a tray. But this is what happens, like you don't need them. We're getting science and we can't use them. All of our powers are slotted, so there's really... Oh, whoa, whoa, what are we doing? Why are we going? Oh, we don't need to go to Brickstown. This is Colleen Nelson and clear our waypoint. We want that. Okay. Yeah, I saw the Brickstown and I thought we were supposed to go to Brickstown, and then I clicked on Atlas Park because if you notice there's a little yellow dot in the train station. I'll show you. There's a little yellow dot in the list that shows which zones have missions for you, right? So when you click here, see the yellow dot for Atlas Park. That means that we have a mission in this zone. Oh, somebody just sent me a tell. Oh, it's All-Star. Hero tips you want to join? Oh, yes, I absolutely do want to join. So I'm going to stop here, guys. I'm going to tell her that I'm going to just really quickly run through this mission, and then I'm going to join her. So, and she might want to join me. We'll see. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed, and I'll be back after I finish up with All-Star.